Yo, welcome back. This is Support Via Quirk Larceny by Flapjack09. Chapter 4. Buy one quirk, get one free. Is this the support lab? Mei and Izuku paused their bomb defusing activity and turned to the lab entrance, where they saw a tall boy with red and white hair split down the middle and a huge red scar covering his left eye. Yes, Izuku responded. If you're looking for a power loader, he's busy doing something very important. Dig a tana, dig a tana. When you're done, you dig a bigger tana. Dig a tana, dig a tana. Quit before the hyena comes. But while he's away, he left me in charge. You're from Class 1A, right? Yes, I'm Shoto Todoroki. Are you Izuku Midoriya? Yep, that's me. Mei shoved Izuku aside and began shaking Todoroki's hand rapidly. Hello, future clients. I'm Mei Hatsume, future CEO of... I want you to take half my quirk, Shoto interrupted as he stared Izuku dead in the eye. Izuku lowered his brow in confusion. Half your quirk? Why would you want me to do that? Can I even do that? What would that even do? What even is your quirk? What can... Izuku was cut off by Mei's hand slapping over his mouth. What my partner in crime means to ask is who, what, when, where, and why. Who? Me. What? My quirk. When? Now, preferably. Where? Here. Shoto answered. Izuku crossed his arms in suspicion. You forgot to answer the why. I need as much information as I can get here. Shoto sighed. My quirk lets me produce both fire and ice, but I swore to myself that I would never use his flames. With the sports festival in a week, I figured now would be a good time to get rid of any temptations. Izuku gave a look of both pity and confusion. Todoroki, I don't think I'm comfortable permanently taking half your quirk. I've heard from your classmates that you've taken several quirks permanently, so why not mine? They weren't trying to be heroes, Todoroki. If you go out there with only your ice, you're more liable to get hurt. Your arsenal would be limited, and you wouldn't get to try out Mei's fire sword that she just started building while I was saying this sentence. When inspiration strikes, you gotta strike back, Mei said as she molded a sword out of metal from her work desk. Plus, Izuku continued, I don't even think I can split up quirks. Here, watch. Izuku yoinked Shoto's quirk away from him, then attempted to pry it apart like he was trying to force a sliding door open. After a few minutes of struggling, he gave up and chucked the quirk back to its original owner. Alright, Shoto nodded, seemingly unfazed. I planned for this to happen. Hold on a moment. He turned away and left the lab. A few minutes later, Shoto returned to the lab with a woman who had white hair covered in flakes of red. This is my sister, Fuyumi. She's the teacher's assistant for my class. Shoto gestured to the woman. She also has an ice quirk as powerful as mine. I would like you to swap our quirks. Hold on, I didn't agree to this, Fuyumi nervously protested. Izuku shrugged and shook his head. Sorry, I don't take quirks from people without their permission, unless they try and kill me with it or something. I understand, Shoto said. Fuyumi, try and kill me with your quirk. No! Even if she did agree, Izuku resumed, I wouldn't let you leave here without a fire quirk, and I'm not giving up my own too much sentimental value. Shoto rubbed his chin in thought for a moment before his eyes widened with an idea. Alright, hold on for another moment. He turned to leave the lab again. 15 minutes later, Shoto returned with all 50 of Endeavor's sidekicks in tow. They squeezed tight as they all struggled to fit in the same room together. Why are we here? Asked the sidekick who had bandages covering his face. Izuku recognized him as Kido. Yeah, it's my day off. I just woke up, complained Vernon, who was wearing an oversized Trans Pride t-shirt. Will any of these fire quirks do? Shoto asked through the cacophony of confused murmurs. I'll be fine with any of these, so long as they aren't his fire. Izuku gave Shoto a look of annoyance. Todoroki. Yes, both Shoto and Fuyumi asked at the same time. I meant Shoto, Izuku clarified. How in All Might's name did you manage to get all the flaming sidekicks to come over here in this one room? I have connections, Shoto responded. A look of realization came across Izuku's face. Wait a minute. Fire Quirk? Todoroki. Flaming sidekickers. May gasped from behind her work desk. Are you Endeavor's secret love child? The room went silent at that statement. May! Shoto shook his head. Unfortunately not. Endeavor is my father. Izuku grabbed Shoto by the wrist and dragged him out of the lab. Alright, I think we need to have a private conversation about this. May, you're in charge until I get back. Alright! May pumped her fist in excitement. When the two boys left, the room was left silent for a moment. May decided to break that silence by holding up her newly completed fire sword and letting it burn. So, who wants to try out my new babies? Many hands were raised in response to that question. Many hands were raised in response to that question. Alright, Todoroki, Izuku started as he dragged Shoto into an empty classroom. Your dad is Endeavor, and that's related to why you won't use your fire, correct? Shoto nodded. Correct, but I don't know why we're having this conversation. You can't change my mind on this, Midoriya. You don't know anything. You're right. I don't know anything. I'm not sure if this is because of some argument you had with your dad, or if you're scared to follow in his footsteps, or if he did things to you. Shoto flinched a little at that piece of speculation. But none of that should matter, because the fact remains that you're trying to be a hero, and you aren't using your quirk to the fullest potential. Frustration found itself on Shoto's face as his tone deepened. How many times do I have to tell you? You can't make me use his fire. And if you can't help me get rid of it, then I have nothing to say to you. Shoto began walking out of the classroom until he was suddenly stopped by a hand on his shoulder. He then felt the sensation of his quirk leaving him. He turned his head to see Izuku giving him a warm smile. Todoroki, when I have your quirk, I feel this spark, this passion. Not just from your fire or your ice side, but from both sides mixing together. Izuku took a deep breath. I just want you to see your quirk the same way I see it, because this quirk is one of the most beautiful ones I've ever seen. And the fact that I can't separate the fire from the ice proves that it's not his quirk. And it's not mine or anyone else's quirk. It's your quirk, Todoroki's. It's yours. There was a long stretch of silence after Izuku finished talking, where Shoto had stared at him, eyes wide and mouth hanging open. After a few seconds, Shoto looked down at his left hand as he curled and uncurled his fingers, his face equal parts shocked, contemplation and realization. After a while, Izuku let go of Shoto's shoulder and made his way out of the classroom. Just think about it for a bit, Izuku finishes as he quickly shut the classroom door. As Izuku made his way back to the lab, he couldn't help but worry about what he just said. Was he overstepping boundaries? Of course he was. He literally just met the guy and gave him a whole lecture about his quirk. What was he thinking? On the other hand, while Izuku may have questioned what he said to Todoroki, he didn't think any of it was wrong. It was a really good quirk, and Todoroki would certainly be putting himself at risk for not using half of it. Besides, he was in the support course. Was it not his job to help the heroes be better? Izuku sighed to himself. He knew his mind would just go back and forth on the subject without reaching a definitive conclusion. He figured it would be best to just distract himself with the sports festival preparations. When he reached the lab door, he was met with the sight of all 50 of the flaming sidekicks sprawled across the floor in pain. May stood in the center of them, covered in more ash and soot than usual. Ugh, this is my fault for leaving you in charge, Izuku groaned as he buried his face in his hands. It's not my fault they couldn't handle my babies, May defended. Is this how Power Loader feels? Yup, every freaking day. said Powerloader as he walked into the lab, having just returned from his very important digging session. 2 days later, Izuku and Mei were busy handing out support items in Gym Gamma when they suddenly felt a flash of heat from behind them. Curious, they both peered behind one of the stone pillars to see a hardened Kirishima get blasted by a jet of fire. When the fire cleared, Kirishima wiped the sweat off his stony brow. Phew. Thanks for helping me train my heat resistance, Todoroki. You're welcome. I needed help regulating my fire anyways. Mei stared from behind the pillar in bewilderment. Huh. Glad he finally got his head out of his ass, and now I can make him some fire babies. Yeah, Izuku smiled. I'm glad too. And that was chapter 4. So let me just say, thank you for 300 subscribers, because I don't actually know what it's at exactly right now. Sorry if you hear the snoring in the background. That is not me. Wait, that's kind of obvious. That is my sister, though. And, hope you enjoyed. I think I will try to get out chapter 5 tomorrow, because I suddenly, have motivation. Whoop whoop. Anyways. Goodbye.